The world of Evelyn Reed was one of sterile glass and projected light, a kingdom in the clouds where stock tickers were heartbeats and market share was oxygen. Her office, on the 70th floor of the Reed Dynamics Tower, was less a room than a statement, a minimalist expanse of chrome and obsidian that overlooked a city of ants. Her hands, always perfectly manicured, signed contracts that shifted global economies. She was a titan, a queen in a bespoke suit, and her soul had long ago been collateralized for success. Her loneliness was a silent partner in every transaction. Miles below, in a world of cracked pavement and the smell of ozone before a storm, Marcus Thorne's kingdom was a two-bedroom apartment. Its centerpiece was not a rare sculpture, but a small kitchen table covered in crayon drawings of smiling suns and lopsided houses. His hands, clean but with grease permanently etched into the cuticles, fixed his daughter's bicycle chain and packed her lunch. He was a security guard at the gate of a corporate campus, a ghost in a neat uniform, a man whose past was a locked room. His devotion to his 7-year-old daughter, Maya, was the only bottom line he cared about. These two orbits, one celestial and one terrestrial, were never meant to intersect. But on a Tuesday afternoon, a malfunctioning security boom gate, stubborn and immovable, forced a collision. Evelyn's chauffeur-driven electric supercar, a silent silver blade, purred to a halt. Evelyn, in the back seat, didn't look up from her tablet. "What is it?" she snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. "The gate, Ms. Reed. It's not responding." Marcus approached the driver's window, his expression unreadable. He was calm, a steady presence against the rising tide of the chauffeur's panic. "Apologies for the delay. The primary actuator is offline. I'll have to open it manually." Evelyn finally looked up, her gaze dismissive. "Then do it. I have a meeting with the board in 10 minutes." It wasn't a request, it was a decree. Marcus simply nodded. "Protocol requires I verify all occupants of the vehicle first, ma'am. Standard procedure for a manual override." This was an indignity too far. "I am Evelyn Reed. This is my building. That is my name on the gate you are failing to operate. Open it now." The challenge hung in the air, a public declaration of her power against his adherence to rules. But Marcus's calm did not break. He met her icy stare with a quiet resolve. "I understand who you are, Ms. Reed, but the protocol is for your safety as much as anyone's. It will just take a moment." It was in that moment that anyone watching would have assumed the guard would be fired by sundown. They could never have known that this quiet man held the key to saving the very empire she had built. Evelyn was about to unleash a torrent of career-ending fury when a voice from the passenger seat, calm and amused, intervened. "Let the man do his job, Evelyn." She froze. She had forgotten, in her indignation, about her passenger. Seated beside her was Silas Croft, a legendary and reclusive tech pioneer whose potential investment represented the future of her company. He was looking at Marcus with an expression of genuine curiosity. Marcus, unfazed, continued his work. He didn't just look at their IDs. His eyes scanned the vehicle's console, the faint flicker of an icon on the dash. "You might want to have your service team check the vehicle's network interface," he said, his voice low and even. "There's a recursive handshake error in the security protocol. That's likely what caused the gate controller to fail. It's a minor flaw, but it could be exploited." Silas Croft leaned forward, his eyes alight. "A recursive handshake error? How could you possibly know that from out there?" Marcus tapped a small panel near the gate's keypad. "This gate system runs on a proprietary kernel. It communicates with authorized vehicles. When it fails, it defaults to a diagnostic broadcast. Most people wouldn't notice the signal." He paused. "But I do?" He finished his work, and with a heavy groan, the metal arm of the gate began to rise. "You're clear to proceed. Have a good afternoon, Ms. Reed, Mr. Croft." As the car glided forward, Evelyn was silent, her mind reeling. The guard hadn't just been insubordinate. He had been impossibly, inexplicably correct. She could see Silas Croft looking back, a small smile on his face. The humiliation was sharp, but beneath it, a seed of bewilderment had been planted. Who was the man at her gate? That evening, Evelyn sat in her vast, empty office, the city lights a cold fire below. She hadn't been able to shake the incident. The guard's quiet confidence, his technical diagnosis delivered with the simplicity of a weather report. It was a dissonant chord in the symphony of her predictable world. "Find out everything about him," she commanded her head of security over the phone. "The day shift guard at the North Gate, Marcus Thorne. I want his entire life on my desk by morning." The next morning, the file on her desk was unnervingly thin. Marcus Thorne was, for all official purposes, a ghost. He'd existed for the past 5 years. A spotless work record at low-level security jobs, a modest apartment, a widower with a young daughter named Maya. Before that, nothing. No college records, no social media, no credit history. It was as if he had been born at the age of 32. The security chief was baffled. "It's the cleanest file I've ever seen, Ms. Reed. Too clean. It's like a professional data scrub. But we found a whisper on a deep web forum, an old encrypted chat log from 10 years ago. It mentions a legendary systems architect who went by the call sign Spectre, designed the core of the Argonne platform, then he vanished. Some say he quit after a major ethical dispute over a project's military application. The name associated with Spectre in one decrypted fragment was Thorne." Evelyn stared at the file. Argonne. It was the most secure, most complex operating system ever designed, the foundation for half the world's financial and defense infrastructure. And its architect was checking IDs at her gate. The world tilted on its axis. Just as this revelation settled, her terminal chimed with an urgent system-wide alert. A red banner flashed across her screen. Catastrophic breach detected. Her company, her empire, was under attack. The code was elegant, untraceable, and it was bleeding her servers dry. Her best people were locked out, helpless. There was only one person she could think of who might stand a chance. That evening, Evelyn's silver supercar, a vessel from another world, pulled up to Marcus's weathered apartment building. She found him in the small, grassy courtyard, pushing Maya on a swing set. The sound of his daughter's laughter was the only thing in his world. When he saw Evelyn, his posture didn't change, but a guarded watchfulness entered his eyes. "Mr. Thorne," Evelyn began, her voice lacking its usual authority. She felt entirely out of her element. "Ms. Reed." Before she could speak, Maya hopped off the swing and walked right up to her. "You're the sad lady from the big car," the little girl said, with the simple, devastating honesty of a child. Evelyn was taken aback. "Sad? Your eyes are sad," Maya stated, then held up a drawing. It was a picture of a stick-figure queen in a tall tower, all alone. "This is you." The drawing pierced Evelyn's armor in a way no corporate rival ever could. For the first time, she felt a crack in her self-imposed isolation. She looked at Marcus, who was watching the exchange with a soft, protective gaze. "I need your help," Evelyn said, her voice barely a whisper. "My company is in trouble. The man from the file, Spectre." "Is that you?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "That was another life. That life is the only one that can save mine right now. They're tearing down everything I've built. Please." Later that night, in a secure conference room at Reed Dynamics, Marcus sat before a terminal, his fingers flying across the keyboard. The code flowed from him, not like a language he had learned, but like one he had invented. Evelyn and her team watched, mesmerized. Within an hour, he had bypassed the attacker's primary defenses and was mapping the breach. "This isn't just an attack," he said, his eyes narrowed in concentration. "It's a surgical strike. The architect knows your system intimately. They have inside help." He brought up a string of code. "And this signature, I've seen it before." But before he could trace it further, the digital path vanished, rerouted through a series of ghost servers that folded in on themselves. A perfect dead end. Just as frustration mounted, Evelyn's fiancé, Julian Vance, entered the room. He was the CEO of a rival firm, a man whose charm was as polished as his shoes. "Darling, I heard," he said, placing a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Anything I can do?" He glanced at Marcus with thinly veiled disdain. "You've brought in outside help?" "This is Mr. Thorne. He's a consultant," Evelyn said quickly. Julian peered at the screen. "A dead end. Amateurs. You need to take the system offline, Evelyn. Cut your losses." His advice sounded reasonable, but Marcus felt a prickle of suspicion. It was too easy, too clean an answer. They worked for another day, hitting the same digital wall. Exhausted, Evelyn offered to drive Marcus home. As they pulled up, Maya ran out to greet her father, holding another drawing. "Daddy, I drew the bad man from your story, the one who hides behind a pretend door to steal the king's treasure." The simple words struck Marcus like a bolt of lightning. A pretend door. A false wall. He looked at Evelyn, his eyes wide with sudden, terrifying clarity. "It's not a dead end," he breathed. "It's a misdirection. He's using a ghost protocol, a back door hidden inside a redundant system diagnostic that everyone would ignore." He paused, his face grim. "I designed it 10 years ago. It was a failsafe. Only 3 people in the world knew of its existence. Me, my old mentor who passed away, and Julian Vance." The name hung in the air. Julian, her fiancé. The man who had been comforting her, advising her. Evelyn felt the floor drop out from under her. The betrayal was absolute, a cold knife in her heart. All the pieces clicked into place. His sudden interest in her server architecture, his helpful suggestions that led nowhere, his pending merger proposal that would give him controlling interest. He wasn't just attacking her company. He was trying to steal it from the ruins he created. "He was my partner on the Argon project," Marcus explained softly, the full weight of his withheld past finally surfacing. "He wanted to sell a compromised version to a foreign military. I refused. I blew the whistle, but he buried me, blacklisted me. After my wife passed away, all I had left was Maya. I couldn't risk fighting him anymore, so I disappeared. I just wanted to keep her safe." Evelyn's sadness for herself was instantly eclipsed by a wave of empathy for Marcus. His integrity had cost him everything, while her ambition had nearly done the same. In that moment, they were no longer CEO and security guard. They were 2 people who had been betrayed by the same man, united by a common enemy. "He won't get away with it," she said, her voice now cold steel. "He has a hostile takeover bid planned for the emergency board meeting on Friday. He's going to use this breach as leverage to declare me incompetent." "Then that's where we'll expose him," Marcus replied, a fire she'd never seen before in his eyes. "He thinks he's the puppet master. It's time someone cut his strings." For the next 48 hours, they became a seamless unit. Marcus, fueled by coffee and a decade of repressed genius, worked from a secure laptop in Evelyn's office. He didn't just trace the attack, he laid a trap within it. He built a digital cage, using Julian's own malicious code as the bars. Evelyn, using her knowledge of Julian's ego and corporate strategy, predicted his every move, feeding Marcus the information he needed to tailor the trap perfectly. An unlikely intimacy grew between them, forged in the glow of the screen and a shared purpose. She saw the brilliant, principled man he had hidden from the world. He saw the vulnerable, resilient woman beneath the layers of corporate armor. The emergency board meeting was a theater of sharks. Julian Vance stood at the podium, a picture of feigned concern and predatory grace. He detailed the security failures, the data loss, the stock plunge. "Reed Dynamics is failing," he declared, his voice resonating with false sympathy. "It needs a new, steady hand at the helm. Therefore, I am proposing a merger, effective immediately, with my firm assuming a controlling interest." The board members murmured, their faces grim. Evelyn stood, her expression a mask of composure. "Before you vote," she said, her voice clear and strong, "I have one more consultant's report to present." Julian smirked. "More excuses, Evelyn?" "Not an excuse," she said, nodding to a tech at the back of the room. "A demonstration." On the massive screen behind Julian, his carefully prepared takeover presentation vanished. It was replaced by a live feed of his own encrypted server. Marcus's trap had sprung. In an instant, lines of code scrolled across the screen, isolating and decrypting files in real time. The board watched, stunned, as incriminating emails between Julian and the hacker he'd hired appeared. Bank records materialized, showing massive payments from offshore accounts. His entire scheme, every treacherous detail, was laid bare for the world to see. Julian's face went from smug confidence to ashen horror. He fumbled for his tablet, trying to shut it down, but it was useless. Marcus was in total control. The final image that burned onto the screen was Julian's own digital signature on the command that had initiated the very first attack. He was exposed, ruined, and utterly defeated by the ghost he thought he had buried years ago. The aftermath was swift. Julian was removed by security, his career ending not with a bang, but with the silent, damning glow of a projector screen. The board, in awe, gave Evelyn a unanimous vote of confidence. In the press conference that followed, she didn't take the credit. She introduced the world to Marcus Thorne, the true architect of their salvation. The next day, she called him to her office. "The board has created a new position," she told him, her tone formal but her eyes warm. "Chief Systems Architect and Head of Digital Security, full autonomy, name your price." Marcus looked out the window at the city below, then back at her. "My price is that I work from home 4 days a week. My daughter needs me to pick her up from school, and I get to wear jeans." Evelyn laughed, a genuine, unburdened sound that felt new to them both. "Deal." Weeks later, the autumn sun cast long shadows across a city park. Maya's laughter echoed as she chased a kite, its tail dancing in the wind. On a nearby bench, Marcus and Evelyn sat together, not as colleagues, but as partners. He had traded his uniform for a comfortable sweater, she, her power suit, for a simple dress. He had rediscovered his confidence, and she, her heart. He had shown her the value of integrity, and she had given him a platform to change the world again, on his own terms. Maya ran to them, holding up a new drawing. This time, it wasn't a sad queen in a tower. It was 3 smiling stick figures, a man, a woman, and a little girl, holding hands under a happy, lopsided sun. Have you ever wondered what hidden genius lies dormant in the people you see every day? The world is full of virtuosos in quiet uniforms, their greatest talents veiled by humility and circumstance. Marcus Thorne was a reminder that true strength isn't measured by a title or a bank account, but by the unwavering integrity of one's character. His story, and Evelyn's redemption, shows us that the most complex systems, whether corporate or human, are often best healed by the simplest truths. True value is not what you